It's an avocado. Thanks. Okay, so this time we flip a coin 3 times. We want to know what is the probability of flipping 3 heads or 3 tails. So we're flipping a coin 3 times. Flip a coin 3 times, and we want to know the probability of flipping 3 heads or 3 tails. Okay. So this time, because it's more than 2, I don't want to use a table. I'm going to use a little tree diagram. Okay. And the way this works is there's 3 events, right? So there's the first one. Okay. There's going to be a second and then a third. Okay. And remember, when we flip a coin, we get heads or tails. Okay? Heads or tails. When I flip it a second time, I have the same outcomes, heads or tails. But I'm going to split it up with my prior events. Okay? When I get to the third time, I want to split it up again. I can get heads or tails. Each time, I can get heads or tails, heads or tails, heads, tails, heads, tails. Now, if I want to know my total, all I have to do is count the ends of my trees or diagram. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 total. And the way you can go about figuring out your different combinations is you just follow your little tree here. So you could get heads, heads, heads. That's one option. You could get heads, heads, tails. That's a second option. You just follow your tree, and you don't want to repeat a section you have already completed. You can go heads, tails, tails, or heads, tails, heads. Okay? But at the very end, it gives us the number of total combinations we have. So we want to know our probability of flipping 3 heads or 3 tails. Well, I want to find where I have heads, heads, heads. That's 1. And I can look at this and I can see that I don't have another 3 head events. Okay? Now I look over here and I'm going to look for the same thing. Tails, tails, tails. Cool. So we have 2 combinations out of a total of 8. Okay? So a way of writing this out, I could say probability of heads, heads, heads. A comma separates my event in my parentheses. Tails, tails, tails. Equals. Well, what's my total? My total is right here. It's 8. So I'm going to put 8 on the bottom because I want to describe my probability as a fraction. And then I want to look at how many events I have in here. I have 1, 2. I have 2 events. Now, you don't make the mistake of counting these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember, in my parentheses, an event is going to be separated by a comma. Okay? So these are my 2 events. So my 2 goes on the top. And so I get 2 8s. Sometimes you need to simplify it. So I know that I can divide both the top and bottom by 2. If you need help with the simplification, please send me a message. I'm more than happy to make a video about it. Okay? So if I have 2 8s, I can divide by 2, divide by 2. And I get 1 over 4. I get 1 over 4 because 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay? So these two right here are my possible answers. 2 out of 8 or 1 out of 4, okay? And then if you need to, you can change it into a decimal or a percent, okay? If you have any other questions, please let me know, okay? I'll have another one of these tomorrow. And next week, we're going to stick with this section. I want us to get really good at figuring out all the total combinations, figuring out probability, and simplifying our fractions, okay? So we got a little bit more time. And like I always say, just let me know if you have any questions, okay? So stay safe and healthy. I'll see y'all around.